Hey, what's up guys, it's Scares here. Now our first story of today comes from PewDiePie. Okay, so PewDiePie actually recently had a meme review with KSI. I'm sure many of you guys watched this. It has over 7 million views. It absolutely blew up on YouTube. Now at the end of this video, PewDiePie and KSI play the song My Heart Will Go On from Celine Dion on the flute. And obviously they didn't play it like amazingly. They were just having fun. It was a joke. People loved it. But it turns out that the music label decided to copyright claim PewDiePie's video, and now that music label is making all of the money off of this video with PewDiePie and KSI. Now PewDiePie himself even came out on Instagram yesterday and he was pretty upset about this. Just watch this.
So I got a claim on my KSI video. At the end, we played My Heart Will Go On, or at least we said that's what we were gonna play. This is what it sounds like. It's too there, isn't it? So I appealed it, obviously, because it's bullshit. Like, why? And they rejected it. This is actually infringing on copyright according to this company. So all the revenue now goes to this company for the entire video. Like, what? Yeah, this thought was bullshit.
Now our next story of today comes from the YouTuber and personality Belle Delphine. Now we talked about her in our last video. If you don't know, recently her entire channel on YouTube was terminated. It was completely taken down, and people were asking why was her channel taken down? Well, people think it was because her music videos were a bit inappropriate. They thought maybe her videos got her entire channel taken down because they were age restricted before, but a lot of people thought this was hypocritical because YouTube has kept up a lot of these huge music videos that are even more inappropriate than some of Belle Delphine's content. So it turns out that Belle Delphine's channel was taken down by mistake, apparently. YouTube came out and they say here that it was a mistake on their part and that they reinstated the channel. Belle tweeted out saying, "My YouTube is back. I'm so happy I could cry. Thank you, Team YouTube, for listening to me. Thank you to everybody else who hugely helped me as well." Now our next story of today comes from the massive YouTuber Cr1tikal. Okay, so Cr1tikal recently actually had one of his videos taken down. He tweeted out yesterday saying, "I got another strike on a 3-year-old video of a censored lewd game. I would do anything to talk to Susan, the YouTube CEO, about the policy team's refusal to communicate and explain their decisions. They have complete control over everyone's channels, but just spit in the face of the creators." So obviously Cr1tikal's upset about this. I mean, the dude literally had a video taken down from 3 years ago. He appealed it because he thought the video was fine, and then YouTube has rejected his appeal. Now Belle Delphine responded here saying there is so much pressure because there is no clear line of what's wrong and right. If they want to strike and delete you, they will. They literally don't care about creators. I think I'm going to delete nearly all the videos on my channel tonight. Ridiculous that you got a strike, dude, for that. So clearly Belle is very scared now, especially from what just happened to Cr1tikal and what happened to her channel. So she has now decided to delete all of her videos on her channel. So the YouTube CEO herself actually responded to Cr1tikal here saying, "Hey Charlie, we will look into this video and I will set up a time to talk with you to hear your feedback." So it looks like Cr1tikal is actually going to be able to speak to some of the higher ups at YouTube about some of the issues creators are dealing with right now. Now another well-known YouTuber also had his video taken down as well. His name is Diesel Patches. He's a well-known commentary YouTuber and his video was taken down for hate speech. Okay, so our next story for today's video is huge. This comes from the streamer known as Fedmyster. Now if you don't know what happened with Fedmeister a few months ago, I'll just give you guys a quick summary of what happened here. Fedmeister was called out by some people in his streaming house known as the Offline TV House. Actually, one girl known as Yvonne came out and she claimed here that Fedmeister had made unwanted advances towards her and he had, kissed her hand when she didn't want him to. There was other instances where she just did not like what he was doing, and also there was other people in this house like Lily who did not like some of the things that he was doing in this house as well. Now another person in the Offline TV House who did not like what Fedmeister was doing was Pokimane. Okay, so Pokimane came out and she said that Fed was being manipulative, that he was lying to all of their friends that they were together, and that he had been saying some things that she did not like. And on her stream with over 50,000 people, she was really going after Fed here. She was saying that she did not like some of the things that he was doing in the house at the time, and obviously Fed looked really bad in this situation. Okay, his entire career was pretty much ruined. People just did not trust Fed anymore, and he got a ton of hate a few months ago when this first happened. Okay, so this whole situation took place in June. We talked about it back then, but 2 months later, Fed actually made a secret document where he titled it My Truth. He showed text conversations that he had with Pokimane from the months that they really liked each other. other, and he was pretty much saying here that Pokimane was being very disingenuous when she was talking about the situation, and he feels like she just backstabbed him with what she said on her stream. So this is how Fed started this off. He says, "Hey guys, it's been a while. It's been about 2 months. I know a lot of you are angry, sad, and disappointed, and you certainly have the right to be. I did some shitty things and they went unchecked for a long time." So Fed goes on to say here that he's been trying to better himself since then. He's been going to therapy, and he says, "Throughout the entirety of my absence, I've been doing therapy, addressing everything that happened. Over the course of that time, I learned a lot about myself and my hidden issues. To summarize, I'm very fearful of confrontation and mostly the unknown. I'd often make a mistake and choose to suppress it rather than confront it. This can cause me to hide things and hurt a lot of people in the process. The thing is, life is full of unknowns, and I can't play as a bystander when it comes to the consequences of my actions. I need to increase my comfortability with the unknown. When I get comfortable with people, I often push these boundaries, and then when I'm drunk, this feeling is amplified. I never mean any harm or any sort of malicious intent, but I have certainly made people feel uncomfortable. My actions surrounding Yvonne and Lily fit into these categories, and I can't begin to explain how sorry I am for hurting them and ultimately jeopardizing our relationship." So Fed straight up admits here that he feels like he completely wronged Lily and Yvonne, two of the people at the house at the time, but then he says here, "I've already apologized to Yvonne and Lily privately, and this statement will in no way contradict their stories. Instead, the purpose of this is to address the individuals that I believe are twisting the truth for their own benefit. For my own health, I can no longer stay silent." He says here that after my time away from everything, I decided to watch the streams that were made about me. Watching Pokey talk about all the things I've done with little to zero context as to the nature of a relationship hurt me pretty badly. I definitely did some questionable things and broke her trust, but there are some claims that she makes about me, Yvonne, and I, Just Friends, which is a stream group, and herself that are either false, twisting the truth, or misconstrued. I'm going to address these claims as well as giving context to mostly everything that was mentioned on her stream, since I feel that it's very important and personal to me. So one of the main things that Pokimane originally called out Fedmeister on her stream for was that she was saying here that Fedmeister made it seem like they were in a relationship when they were not. Now Fed came out here in this document and he says here that he thinks they had a pretty good relationship, like an actual relationship, and it looks like they were very, very close, almost to the point of being boyfriend and girlfriend. I mean, if you look at some of these texts, it really does seem like they were that close. He says the Fuki thing started as a joke when I made a picture of me and Pokey, my phone background. She had sarcastically suggested that I do it and see what kind of reaction from the community we'd get. I laughed and I did it anyway just for fun. Obviously the public started to pick it up more and more, and this all escalated when the Taiwan trip happened. So Fed goes on to talk about when he was on vacation with Pokimane in Taiwan, they had a great time and they got very, very close during this time. They became very flirty through text messages. He actually leaks a lot of private conversations from them. Now these are completely public now. Everyone's been talking about them. But I mean, if you look through these conversations, they are very, very flirty. It looks like these guys are pretty much in a relationship already. He says it was pretty obvious to our friends and roommates that something was going on, but no one asked about it. There was the occasional ex-roommate walking in without knocking and seeing us cuddling in bed, watching Law & Order on my laptop, and I would think to myself, man, this is the dream. Really connecting with someone that understands the world I'm a part of. And she's super ambitious, hilarious, and meticulous about so many things in her life. She's a very inspiring person, and to this day, and despite everything, I still hold true to those beliefs. So I tried everything in my power to not fuck it up. Spoiler, I did. But then Fed goes on to say here that in March of 2018, they had an honest discussion about where they were heading and if they were going to be like this public couple, and she brought up a lot of notable problems, and she was saying here that it could be an issue business-wise. And Pokimane says that there was a conflict of interest here and that they both should slow down. And then a month later, in April of May of 2018, he says that she was traveling a lot, and he says we texted and FaceTimed a lot. She would send me messages like I miss you and refer to me as honey bun or randomly call me cute, and we would still have sleepovers together. Like, we're obviously acting coupley here, and whenever we're apart, we FaceTime. I felt like we were disregarding the conversation we had in March and just going with the flow. Obviously, I'm excited about this because by this time, I liked her enough that I wanted to try to be serious and exclusive. So then Fed goes on to say that he had actually mentioned to his roommate that there was something going on between him and Pokimane, and he also says that he asked his manager if she knew what was going on between both of them, and she confirmed it to him. So he says in his mind, he felt like that was being honest, but it was one of his first major mistakes. And that's obviously one of the reasons why Pokimane called him out here, because she's saying that he was going around telling people they were together when she says that they were not together. He then talks about how they FaceTimed the next day and he called her babe on this FaceTime, and she says that she does not like him using that language out in front of people because he didn't want them seeming too coupley in front of others before they actually were a couple. She would say things like, I feel like I need to understand the boy scene a little bit more before being ready to commit, and that we should date around. For me, this came out of left field and I felt pretty stupid. I was hurt by this at the time because I wasn't even remotely interested in anyone else, and I was investing so much time and energy into her in general. I was trying to be understanding, but it brought up a lot of insecurities and notions of not being good enough. For both of us, emotions always made things so complicated. I wish I was better at navigating them earlier. After taking time to understand her concerns, I came around to her unease. She wanted to be sure our feelings were legit and not just there because we were accessible to each other. So looking at this document right now, you can see that it seems like Pokimane was leading Fed on constantly and then saying that they can't be together for one reason or another. And this is what Fed says here. He says, by now, you can tell that there is a cycle of talking again and then, oh wait, there's a problem. This cycle continued throughout the years, and every time it didn't work out, I think I lost part of myself. More and more, I started to realize maybe I'm not good enough. The things the cycle did to me were fucked. I became more and more frustrated. I started to become jealous, insecure at times. I would try to act out sometimes, lock myself in my room all day, and stream Pokemon for the entire day to try and avoid her. I would go over to Just Friends, which was a streamer house, and vent about my frustrations. Now, one of the things that Pokimane initially called out Fedmyster on is she claimed here that Fed was trying to get this streamer group, Just Friends, to pretty much hate her. He was trying to manipulate them into hating her behind the scenes. And he says in this document that that is complete BS. He says that's not the case at all, and he even gives context here. He says that Pokimane usually goes to sleep earlier than him, and he just wanted someone to talk to, and he usually vented to people after she went to bed. But Fed says here that he still wanted people to be friends with Pokimane. He then goes on to talk about how in July of 2018, he had told a buddy of his, Steve, that him and Poki were together. But he says here that in Poki's stream, she claimed that he told Steve not to tell anyone or talk about it at all, and he says that that is 100% false. So he's saying here that a lot of things in Pokimane's stream were completely lies, at least according to him. So Pokimane called out Fed on this, and he apologized for it, and obviously the whole situation just deteriorated from there. I mean, he says, well, now I can kind of tie in everything. Some time passed, and Steve and Poki started to see each other. From what I understood, they were never officially dating, similar to me, but let me give you guys some perspective on how their thing affected me. So he would come over a lot, and Poki and I are neighbors. So A, I could hear a lot, and B, I wasn't completely over her yet. The emotions I felt to me were similar to a bad breakup and seeing someone else get with the girl you like. Usually if this happens, you mute them on social media, avoid them, out of sight, out of mind kind of deal. Well, this was happening right next to me where I slept and streamed. This had a huge effect on my mental health and streaming mood, and even when I wasn't streaming, all I could feel was anxiety. Sleeping was impossible. I could literally feel my manhood fading away as the days went on. So of course I tried to escape. Where did I go? Yup, Just Friends, which is the streaming house. Fed then goes on to say here that I just want to mention that this on and off cycle between us continued throughout the years, and when she'd see the possibility of dating or even started to talk to someone else, she'd start to push me away. When she stopped seeing and talking to them, she would start coming around my room and wanting to be close once again, and at the time it was very hard for me to resist getting close to her. We'd eventually be back on to some degree, and the sleepovers would resume, the massages would resume, and the flirting in general would resume. There were times that she would get in my head and act possessive when she saw me interacting and giving attention to another girl. All these things made me and Poki's relationship very volatile, weird, and strenuous because we lived with each other, and it wasn't so simple for me to turn off my feelings when things were off. She was very aware of my feelings for her, but also aware of my pain and how hurt I'd be when she pushed me aside. Now, yet another thing that Pokimane had said about Fed on her stream is that he wanted to get Yvonne fired, okay? And he says here that he never wanted to get Yvonne fired and that this was completely false. So I've definitely skipped over a lot of stuff in this document here because I'm just not sure how many people would be interested in knowing everything about the situation. But there is some really serious stuff here that we have to talk about in this video because it does seem like Fed was hurt hurting for a very long time there, and he just wanted to come out and tell people about what really happened. But to wrap this whole thing up, he says, overall, it's clear that Poki and I had a very volatile relationship, and I'm certainly guilty of being inconsiderate, oversharing, and breaking her trust. But I hope that this new information sheds a light on my side of things and gives a lot of much needed context that wasn't initially provided. Never at any point was I trying to be manipulative or keep Poki from making friends. I never wanted Yvonne fired. It horrifies me for how much and how long misinformation about me and my character have been out there. Like I said, there are some issues that I'm working on, and I feel like I've already made a lot of progress. I only hope that one day I could be the man I could have never been before all of this. I really wish that I didn't have to show text and DMs, as this is something that I'm profoundly against, but this was an important person in my life for years, and for her to manipulate the narrative the way she did to the public leaves me no choice because I am not the person that she described. Okay, so Fedmeister himself never actually released this document himself. A close friend of his felt like he was being wronged, and he leaked this document for everyone to see. Now it's public and you have everyone looking at this document and reading it out on their streams and on their YouTube videos, but this document was meant to be a secret, and Fed posted a new document last night, and he says, hey guys, it's been brought to my attention that a document I wrote many months ago has been leaked. I want to make it clear that this is not something I wanted out publicly. The document was leaked by someone I had asked for advice and support who chose to maliciously violate my trust. A while ago, Poki and I spoke about what happened, and we came to agree that keeping things private and making no further statements publicly was what was best for both of us. To keep the document private, we wanted to heal and prevent any further harm to the people involved. She would make a brief supportive statement when I returned, and we would go our separate ways. No more drama and not reopening old wounds. So it sounds like Fed never actually wanted this document to go public. It looks like he was just venting here about his whole situation. He felt like he was being wronged a couple of months ago when he wrote out this document. But this got leaked, and now you have tons of people talking about this, and even Pokimane herself went on her stream last night and talked about this. She had around 70,000 live viewers, and she says here that she might have been leading on Fed, but they never did anything intimate.
Admittedly, in hindsight, it was selfish that like I wanted to like still be friends and still be close. But I think he read that as like signs of maybe wanting more. But in my mind, I was like, I already had this convo with you of like not wanting more. So but also there was like this cycle of like we'd get close and I'd be like, I think like you think this is headed in a way that it's not headed. Like we can't be like this close. 'Cause like boundaries would be pushed and blah, blah, blah. I also want to say that I feel he implied we were heavily involved when me and Fed were never intimate, we were never sexual, and also I knew, and anyone who has watched his stream, like he's kind of a flirty guy, right? So as cringy as these are, I don't think these texts from 3 years ago are indicative of much in regards to the things that I said were problematic in my first stream.
So this whole situation has been a complete mess over the last few days, and I'll leave a link in the description with Fedmeister's full response to Pokimane and Pokimane's full response to Fedmeister, so you guys can go look at it for yourselves, because obviously I can't share everything they've said. It would be like a 4-hour long video. Pokimane's response was 1 hour by itself. And that's it for our video today, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, please be sure to leave a thumbs up, and I'll see you later. Peace.